This is Vincent with Central Tutors, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. So let's get started. This over here is called the quadratic formula, and you can use it to solve any quadratic equation. So to give you a reminder, quadratic is going to be an equation in this form, in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So the a value, called the x squared coefficient, is simply going to be the number in front of the x squared term. Similarly, the b value is the x coefficient. That just means it's in front of the x term. And c is a constant. That means there's going to be no x value in front of it. So I found an exam question for us to attempt. And one clue that we're going to need the quadratic formula to solve this is that we're asked to give our answer to one decimal place. That means that this equation here, 3x squared plus 9x minus 2, isn't going to factorize nicely. So we need to use this formula. So let's get started. The first step in our process to solve this question is to identify the a, b, and c terms. So like I mentioned, the a term is in front of the x squared value. So we can see here that a is going to be equal to 3. Next, the b term is in front of the x value. So again, we can see b is equal to 9. And finally, the c term, the constant, doesn't have any x value. So here we can see c is equal to minus 2. It's important to include any signs, otherwise when we substitute into our equation, we're going to see that we get the wrong answer. So, we've done step 1. Now, we need to do step 2. We need to substitute these into the quadratic formula. So, step 2, let's carry that out. We'll get minus b, which is minus 9, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 9 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is minus 2. And that's going to be all divided by 2a. So 2 times 3. So well done, we've substituted in. Now, the hard step, we need to expand, and we need to be extra careful about any of the signs. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Let's do that. We'll get minus 9 plus or minus the square root of 81. And now here's where you need to be careful. So you'll notice there's a minus sign here and a minus sign there, which we've picked up from the c term. So anytime you multiply two negatives, you should remember that you get a positive. So here we get a plus, and then just 4 times 3, which is 12, times 2, which is 24. So plus 24, and that's all divided by 6. You can simplify this a little more. So let's just do that. 81 plus 24, that's 105, and that's all divided by 6. So you should remember there's a plus or minus that we find here. So all the plus or minus means is that there's going to be two solutions. One solution is where we use the plus, and one where we use the minus. The question also asks for our answers plural because there's an s, so we need to make sure to make that explicit. So let's just write that out. That means x is going to be equal to minus 9. Let's use the plus solution first. So plus the square root of 105 over 6. Or, if we use our negative solution this time, we can have x is equal to minus 9, this time minus the square root of 105. And that's all over 6. So, there's only one more step we need to do now. We need to plug this into our calculator, and we need to give our answer to one decimal place. So if you try that, what you should get is, you should get x is equal to negative 3.2, or you get x is equal to positive 0.2. And there we go. We have solved this equation by using the quadratic formula. So just to make sure that you're convinced, I've decided to plot out the quadratic that we were trying to solve. 3x squared plus 9x minus 2. And we were interested in the values of x when y is equal to 0. And you can see here graphically that y is equal to 0 only when x is equal to minus 3.2 or when x is equal to plus 0.2. So we've been able to correctly find the x solutions that satisfy our quadratic. And that is why we have the plus or minus in our equation, because 2 points are going to satisfy y equals 0. So thank you for joining me. And if you need any help with more quadratic formula type questions, please join me for the next video. Thank you and see you soon.